So we eat a lot of green smoothies. Sometimes consuming a large amount of dandelion greens or stinging nettle greens or violet greens or chickweed or some of these other, sometimes they don't taste very good to just eat them. I like them, but it's hard for people to eat them. So one of the things that we do here is we blend it up into one big mush. And so we've got bananas here, and then we've got 4 bananas in there. And then if you put your orange or grapefruit or your lemon, try to leave as much of the white part as you can, because most of your calcium and your vitamin C is in the white part. Now it makes it more bitter. The more white this that you have, the more bitter it is. So if you're not very brave, just don't put any white in. But if you feel brave this morning, then make sure that you leave lots of white stuff. Eat things that are nutritious, not just what tastes the best for you. I knew a little boy who all he would eat was chicken nuggets. He didn't eat anything else. So I'm just cutting it in little pieces. They don't have to be really small pieces, and then leave the seeds in there too. That's extra nutrition. And then if you want it to taste better, you peel the apple. But if you want to have more nutrition, then you just put the whole thing in there. And some people will tell you that the apple seeds are poisonous, that they contain arsenic, and it is true. I'm coring that because there's a little brown spot, but it is true that the apple seeds contain some arsenic. However, it is actually healthy to consume them, just not in very big quantities. So you wouldn't want to like sit down and eat like chew up a cup of apple seeds. It wouldn't be healthy. But so would you say that this apple is cosmetically beautiful?
It has some blemishes.
Where?
Well, it's got a dent right here, Titus.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to take the dent out.
Would you say that now it's cosmetically beautiful?
Well, now it's got a hole out of it.
Well, it still looks beautiful, right?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Well, there's a lot of Christians that inside they have a lot of selfishness or a lot of sin. And that part you want to cut out. Mm-hmm. So we'll cut that out.
So when did you start doing green smoothies here?
So I didn't have from 2015 to the time that Peter came last summer. I guess it was in June. I didn't have any electricity, so I didn't have any solar, didn't have any. So then after Peter came, then people gave us some solar. So now, actually, this is Brother Donovan's box, and so he loaned us this box, and we have a solar panel that goes with it. And then we have a blender here, which it's like a Vitamix, but it's like a knockoff. So
it's from Aldi's.
It's not as expensive as the Vitamix, but it does the same job.
I don't think you can get this anymore. I got it at Thanksgiving. That was the only time that they had it.
Okay.
And it was like $80.
So we have strawberries here, and you'll see some of these strawberries are just perfect. You can look with a microscope and you won't find a blemish. They're just perfect. And then other ones, they look pretty nice, but then when you look over here, there's a horrible, ugly, rotten spot. Now we've had a lot of rain, like too much rain, and so a lot of the strawberries have been rotting before they get fully ripe. So we will perform surgery and surgically remove the infected part of the strawberry, and then we can put the good part in the smoothie. Now, you may look on one side, you may look so beautiful, but on the other side, you may have an awful rotten spot. You may have some sin in your life that most people don't see. So if you have sin in your life today, if you put a little bit of this in here, would that make it a good smoothie? No, you wouldn't want that. You don't want any sin. You don't want any infection or any rottenness in there. You want it perfect. And God wants all His children to come together. You know, some people are more like apples. Some people are more like strawberries. Some people are a little bit bitter. They're like the grapefruit, but that we need some of that too. And I don't mean that we should be bitter, but like there's different characteristics and all come together to make something really, really good. So if you have sin in your life, maybe people notice it, maybe people don't notice it. Ask Jesus, Yeshua, to surgically remove that sin, that cancer, that infection, that rottenness, that selfishness. Ask Him to cut it out of your life. He'll do it, but it may be painful. All right, so then flaxseed is very important. Would you like to tell us something about the reason why we put flaxseed in?
So everyone should be eating flaxseed every day, and this is the easiest way for me to get it in. If you get the yellow flaxseed, it actually has a milder flavor. Flax seeds itself opens up your cells to let nutrients in and toxins out.
So I personally don't like to put the flax seeds in there. I would prefer to blend them separately and mix them with my oatmeal or something like that. But it is a good way to eat flaxseed.
And you can also get a lot of flaxseed this way. And when you put it with a smoothie, sometimes if you want to make a peanut butter smoothie, which is what I do sometimes, I substitute flaxseed for part of the peanut butter, and then you can't even tell it's in there.
Tell the people what you were learning about the autoimmune. There's something about flaxseed and the autoimmune.
So there's a doctor called Dr. Brooke Goldner, and she recommends if you have autoimmune disease to go just to smoothies. And that's what she did and cured her lupus. And the key ingredients of the smoothies is a lot of greens and a lot of flaxseed. Mm-hmm. And the flaxseed is what opens your cells to let toxins out and let nutrients in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, we have Smokey here trying to eat the tail of a squirrel. And
why are you?
Then we have Chloe over here trying to eat the leaves off of a wild rose.
Titus, we don't want a tail.
This is interesting. Yes. So,
I didn't even know that.
See, that's part of a squirrel tail right there.
Yeah, that's enough.
So originally there was no death. In the Garden of Eden, there was no death. So there was no cats eating squirrel tails. But the dogs were likely eating the leaves from the roses. So if we want to go back to being healthy, we should go back to the Eden diet. Mm-hmm. The Eden diet was lots of raw food, and it was just fresh. So if you buy kale from California and you live in Georgia, in the time that it's shipped, it loses a lot of its vitamin content. You'll still get the mineral content, but it'll lose the vitamin content. One of the best things to do is, even if you live in the city, or you can still go out in your yard. If you haven't sprayed your yard with herbicides, you can still go and you can still get dandelion greens. They're easy to identify. And you can put dandelion greens in there. Here's some plantain. And you can see this big leaf is really tough, but this new growth is more tender. The new growth is more digestible and it's more nutritious. And it's more palatable. It tastes better. So, like when you're going for plantain, you want to go for newer growth. Now, My friend Lee is an herbalist, Lee Willard. He was one of my teachers in medical missionary school, and he told me that stinging nettle is the most nutritious food on the planet. Like, it has more vitamin K, more calcium, more of these vitamins, minerals. It has more of that than anything else. So, like, you have like cabbage, broccoli, kale, and then you have stinging nettles. Like, stinging nettles is like off the charts. So get plenty of stinging nettles.
And if you're not Titus, wear gloves.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of pain never hurt anybody. You know, wake you up in the morning.
I'll wake you up for 30 minutes.
But if you have calluses, you don't really bother you much at all. So here's another thing that's easy to identify: clover. You can put clover in it. Some clover will have a white flower, and some will have like a pink flower. You can do that. You can also put dandelion flowers in it. And then this is lemon balm. My friend Melody and Daniel gave me this. Thank you, Melody and Daniel. They gave me a start of it, but it's a perennial, so you just comes back year after year. I do have some mint out back, but I'm not going to go bother to get that. There are some strawberry leaves in here, which strawberry leaves are not very tasty, but they are very nutritious. So we're going to put a few strawberry leaves in here. And I see a few clover blossoms over here. And we'll put a few clover blossoms in. And another thing is, if you had to chew this up, it would take you, and to chew it properly, it might take you 15 minutes to chew this up. But you put it in a blender and it's more digestible for your body. Now, if you just drink it, you won't get as good absorption of the minerals and the vitamins as if you kind of like let it stay in your mouth and you let the saliva mix with it. So there was some people in the concentration camps, like Jews that were in the concentration camps, and the ones that would like fight over their food like animals, and they fight each other and beat each other and claw each other to get the food, those people, a lot of them starved to death or very close to it. But there was some in there that instead of fighting for food, they would just take a little piece, and rather than just eating it quickly, they would just hold it in their mouth. And they might hold, it in their mouth for an hour, and the saliva would really mix with it, and then they'd swallow it. And those are the people that survived. So if rather than just lugging it down, it's good to take a little bit of time, even though you don't need to. If you take some time to like chew it, hold it in your mouth, and let the saliva mix, you'll have better digestion and you'll have better absorption of the nutrients.
It helps your stomach acid when you chew, to be ready to digest the food.
That's
as
right.
well.
That's why chewing gum is harmful, because the chewing makes saliva, and then your stomach gets a signal, oh, I need to prepare for food. So the stomach works really, really hard to get ready for the food, but then no food comes. So that's why chewing gum is not a good idea. And there's also, this is white clover, which is also nutritious. So Stephanie doesn't like it when I put strawberries in here. So I guess I'll just
had plants here.
I guess I'll just put one in just to see what she does.
I thought you put some other ones in there.
Oh, I guess I did. Yeah, I forgot.
You performed surgery.
Yeah, I have to do another surgery there. Now this one here, you can put it in. This is called yellow dock. It has a root that's very yellow and high in oxalic acid. And you can eat it, but it's more tasty like if you were cooking beans and you put a little bit in your beans. That's a more tasty way to eat it. but you can put it in here. It's just going to make it really strong medicine. Now this one is called lamb's quarter. And lamb's quarter is very nutritious. It's also high in oxalic acid. So we'll put a little bit of lamb's quarter in here. This is an aster flower. It's one of the asters, which is edible. So we'll put a little bit of that in there. And let's see. What else can we find? This one over here is generally known as wild lettuce, and when it goes to seed, it looks just like it's a the seed looks just like when lettuce goes to seed. We could put that in there; it would make it more bitter, so we're not going to do it. This one right here is narrow leaf plantain, which has a little better taste, in my opinion, than the broadleaf. Let's see. And we used to have a lot of fun with this one because we would go like this. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You go like that. Sometimes the end will pop off and shoot out there, but it has to be in a different stage of its. So this one is called cleavers because it will cleave to you or stick to you, and if you eat it raw, it can kind of poke your tongue. It's kind of abrasive to your tongue, but you can put it in the smoothie and it'll get blended up and it won't be any issue at all. This one here is a violet, and a bug ate it, and my grandpa said if the bugs won't eat it, I won't eat it either. And so some of these vegetables and fruits have so much pesticide sprayed on them that the bugs won't eat them, but I'll be glad to eat after a bug. His mouth was on it, and so was mine. Yep. So the Amish were the first. The CDC reported that they were the first to reach herd immunity. They didn't take the COVID vaccine, but CDC reported that they had reached herd immunity because when they take communion, they have 1 cup of wine and they share it around the whole church.
Is it real wine?
Yes.
Wow.
So when they do that, then everybody gets exposed to it, and that's called herd immunity. So when one person is sick with COVID, everybody gets exposed to it. And so your body can produce a natural immunity to it. And I know hundreds of Amish people, and I do not know one who took a COVID shot. And I do not know one Amish person who died of COVID. So yes, herd immunity. So if rather, the vaccine theory is put a little bit of poison in your body to strengthen your body to be able to fight it off. That's a theory. And if you subscribe to that theory, that's fine. We're still friends. But I disagree with that theory. My theory is eat lots of nutrition, and that will strengthen your immune system. And then expose yourself to COVID on a low level. Like go visit your friend who's has COVID. And expose yourself to COVID.
Or chickenpox.
Yes, or chickenpox. Expose yourself. And so my friend Eli Yoder was he got COVID, and they wanted to put him in one of those wards or whatever. The COVID, I forget what they called them, but it was like a special place for COVID people.
In the hospital?
Yes. And he told them, no, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die at home. So he went home. And like they wanted to like put him on an ambulance and take him out. And so he's like, Titus, I'm stiff all over, like I've got arthritis in every joint. He's like, I don't know if you want to come over here. I said, oh yes, I want to expose myself on a low level. And so I got some exposure. And I said, can I pray for you and put my hand on your shoulder? I wanted to make sure I get exposed. And it works. So, all right. Well, let's go build up our immune system so that we're gonna fight COVID.
Titus, I don't think we have enough stinging nettle.
Okay. Let's put some more in.
We need more greens in there.
All right. Let's put some more in.
What else do you normally like to put in there if you have it?
Well, see, that's a good question. So it varies with the season. So, like, most of the year you can find clover. Most of the year you can find plantain. Most of the year you can get stinging nettle. But most of the year you can get violet greens. But like chickweed is something that's more seasonal. You'll just have that. And here's ragweed right here, and you can eat it. It's not the most tasty thing, but it's good. So if you're like, some people are kind of like having an allergy to ragweed, and so my theory is if we eat ragweed at this time of the season, then later in the season we could be immune to it, like the sneezing from all the pollen. So here is the narrow leaf plantain, and sometimes they'll become more wide than this, but this is the broadleaf plantain. So they're both plantain, but they're just a different variety. And this is fescue right here. It's a grass, and there is some nutrition like in the seeds particularly. So you can put some of those in if you want to. Now, if you tried to like chew on the stems or blend up the stems, I don't know for sure how much nutrition you would get out of the stems. So this is orchard grass, and it has kind of almost a bluish tint to the leaves, and it's going to seed. So like in a wilderness survival situation, there would be some kind of protein in the seeds of the, some kind of nutrition in the seed. This is a redbud tree, and earlier in the spring it had really beautiful pink flowers. And later it'll have beans inside these pods. So you can eat the pods in this immature stage. You can eat them like green beans. And also the leaves here, the new growth of the leaves is what you want to get. And it's not very tasty. It's edible, but it's not tasty. And don't put every flower in that you see. This one is a buttercup, and it's poisonous. So this one here is, some people call it horseweed. It's also known as giant ragweed, and it is edible. Archaeologists discovered, if my memory serves me correctly, don't quote me on this, but I was reading, it was either in South America or the Aztecs. So they cultivated ragweed, and it was like one of their staple crops. So just for comparison, here's the more common ragweed, and here's the giant ragweed. They're both ragweed. This one's called horseweed, and horses will always pick this one over this one. They'll eat this one if they're super hungry, but this is the one they always go for first. So we'll put a giant ragweed in here. And we have some grape leaves.
Titus, I think we're getting too much variety.
Too much variety. Grape leaves, they taste pretty good. Mom used to make pickles, and she would put grape leaves in the pickles with lemon juice. But don't eat vinegar, it's too acidic. All right.
So you sometimes put oranges and lemon.
Yes. I like the taste better if it has one lemon in it.
And you peel it like the grapefruit.
Yes. Yep. Leave the white on as far as possible. Oops. Oh, and you don't really have to wash these because if the dog empties his bladder on it, urine is sterile as long as your dog doesn't have a urinary tract infection.
Titus.
Well, it's true. I'm just telling the truth.
Hey, can we get some more stinging nettle?
Oh, yes.
Lots and lots of green.
Yeah, there was actually some sailors that were at sea and they were drinking their own urine. And it definitely was a trial to bear, but they did survive. And see, another thing is like, sunshine does kill bacteria. So if there was some kind of bacteria on this, remember the sunshine was antiseptic.
And it gets washed with the rain too.
Yes, that's true. But if you want to wash yours, go for it. Oh, that is. I'm glad you mentioned that. So, yeah, if you're gathering things that are near like a highway or something, there's a lot of exhaust fumes. So if you're in that kind of location, it would be advantageous to wash it, to wash off that whatever residue from the smog. Yep.
So someone did send a battery, and we did use it with the blender, but the blender pulls 1,500 watts. And so Donovan loaned us his battery that has the ability to run 1,500 watts because it wasn't working very well with the blender.
Yeah. It probably would have burned it up over time. So it's a good idea to put your flaxseed in first or kind of in the middle. If you put it at the top, my experience is it doesn't blend it thoroughly enough sometimes. And if you have like soft stuff at the bottom, you can just turn it on low first and then you turn it up.
So what about liquid?
You don't need it with this. I mean,
Do you ever put liquid in?
My mom puts like grape juice or apple juice in it.
Or orange juice sometimes.
Or orange juice, yeah. It makes it more
tasty.
Tasty. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you don't do that.
No, I don't like spending money, and so I don't buy it. Once in a while, I buy some if I'm out and about. But yeah. All right, so let's try this out. Well, some people will say this is bad manners and they might find it offensive, so you might want to just fast forward this part if you're easily offended, but it's very good.
So if you don't have a blender like a Vitamix, you can use a coffee grinder and grind up the flax seeds. separate, and then add them to the blender,
Mm-hmm.
and then blend it in your normal blender.
Yeah. I've mentioned this on other videos, but I had some cavities, and I asked my friend Eli Yoder, I said, hey, look at this. What do you think? He's like, oh, you've got to get these filled or they're going to get worse. Those are bad. And then I talked to my friend Mary, and I was like, what do you think? She's like, well, I had a cavity, and then later when I went to the dentist, he said it had filled up, naturally. And she said, I just started eating lots of raw comfrey and kale. And so she said, that's what you need to do. So I started eating more raw greens. And so now at one point the cavities were starting to be sensitive and starting to hurt, but then after I started incorporating lots more greens into my diet, then now I can see that they haven't filled up completely, but they filled up to the point where they don't hurt at all. So as I continue on eating healthy like this, eventually they'll just completely fill up. There was a man who was he was in the South Pacific Islands where they were cannibals, and they would have wars between tribes, and they'd capture people and roast them and eat them. And so anyway, he came to learn from God's Word, and missionaries came and taught them. And so then they chewed a lot of betel nut, and like that would kind of destroy their teeth. And so he was like limping and kind of like crippled, and he had like his teeth had kind of rotted out. And so, but then when he started eating a better diet, and he started praying to his Father in heaven and learning to know Jesus, Yeshua, then a whole new third set of teeth came in. So he had his baby teeth, obviously, and then he had his adult teeth that rotted out. And then when he was like 70 years old, this new set came in. And then he had been walking with a cane, and then at 70 years old, then he threw his cane away and was walking, well. His crippled, he was no longer crippled.
So you think it was like osteoporosis or something like that?
The book didn't say. It was written by the missionaries that were over there. It didn't specifically say that it was osteoporosis. It could have been osteoporosis.
Or maybe arthritis.
Could have been, yeah. But I have an Amish friend, Joost Hirschberger, and he said, I have an infected tooth. Oh, it hurts. And so then later I was there, and I was like, well, are you going to go to the dentist? He's like, no, I don't want to spend the money. And so then later he's like, hey, look at this. And he said, a new tooth is coming out. So dentists will tell you that, you have your baby teeth and you have your adult teeth, and that's it. Well, he got a new tooth coming up.
So how do you like to serve this? Do you drink it out of a cup?
No, I usually just eat it with a spoon.
You want to show us?
Sure. Oh, I wanted to mention something else. Like if you're gardening and you have a lot of cucumbers, put your cucumbers in. The cucumber would be good in this as well, but put the peelings in.
Put it in with the peelings, right?
Yeah, don't take the peelings off.
So why are the peelings off right there?
Because we have a very helpful volunteer, and he likes to peel them. So that's why the peelings are there.
So we forgot to put them in.
Oh, we could put them in now.
You want to blend it again?
Sure. Let's do it. All the nutrition we can get. One time, see, we make kale salad, and it has like olive oil, salt, nutritional yeast flakes, sometimes garlic powder in it. And so I had some left over, and so rather than going out and picking greens, I put it in. And Stephanie's like, this tastes different. What's in here? And I didn't want to incriminate myself, so I just said, oh, it's got all the best. later I said, well, I kind of do have a confession to make. I did use this leftover. Oh, and the salad also had some sunflower seeds in it. So, and I just noticed over here there is some mint. Well, no, this isn't mint. It's the hairy stuff. I forget the name of it. It's in the mint family. And this is wood sorrel, which makes a yellow flower. And wood sorrel tastes really good. It's high in vitamin C. This one here has a clover-like leaf. This one here, you don't want to put a lot of mint in it, or Stephanie will get after you and tell you that it's too strong.
Or not too much lemon balm either, because I think that makes it taste spicy.
Yeah. So yeah, sometimes I get it out of balance and put like way too much of one thing, but just experiment. You don't have to do it exactly the way that I do it, just experiment. And then, okay, so for those of you that are not used to using a blender, if it's on the high setting and you turn it on, it'll
Off the top.
So it's best to turn it down to the very low setting and turn it on, and then you're less likely to have it splash all over the place. So I made the mistake of just turning it on high, and it went all over the place.
I don't remember that. I must not have been here.
You were here, but I didn't talk about it. Kind of looks like when a cow is having a bowel movement.
Titus!
I'm just being real.
I'm not going to eat today if you keep it up. Okay, it's like the consistency of applesauce or something.
Oh, it's like green applesauce.
Yeah, that's what I like to call it.
Okay. When we were in medical missionary school, we had so much fun.
Yeah, with a bunch of guys, I'm sure.
There was a few girls that could handle that type of talk at breakfast time. So, when you get a chance, do this at home. If you're maybe a 10-year-old or 12-year-old, don't make the mistake that some people have done by like pushing things in with your hand.
Mm-hmm. While it's blending.
Yeah, while it's blending, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you want to eat this usually within like 20 minutes for the maximum nutrients.
Correct.
And if you don't eat it pretty fast, it will thicken because of the flaxseed.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes if you have really ripe bananas and you don't put flaxseed in it, will still thicken. Or blueberries, lots of blueberries.
Yeah, I don't like it as well once it sets up and thickens. It has a better taste when it's just freshly made. Mm-hmm. Oh, I forgot. I should thank the Lord for the food. You should always, before you drink or you eat, you should ask the Lord to bless the water in your food. There were some missionaries, and they were riding muleback, and they didn't have, they couldn't carry all the water that they needed with them. So, like, the way we live today, we could buy bottled water and go to California and just drink bottled water. But on muleback, there's only so much water you can carry from one place to another. So they were traveling, and they were drinking out of a river, and they didn't have time to boil their water. And so they were drinking out of the river. And then later, they rode up 2 miles upstream, and there was a dead horse, a carcass, rotting in the water. It was kind of a lazy river, But they asked their Heavenly Father to bless their water. So ask Him to bless your food, and maybe your food, maybe you're eating at Taco Ding Ding, and it maybe is a little bit of spoiled, But if you ask your Heavenly Father to bless your food, He'll do it.
So is Taco Ding Ding Taco Bell?
Or Taco Bell. Yeah, thank you. And so KFC, we have a lot of that. It stands for Kentucky Fried Chicken. But Kentucky Fried Chicken, with all the growth hormones and all that stuff, is killing folks consistently. When I was in medical missionary school, we watched a video where a surgeon had tweezers and he was pulling fat out of the arteries. He was pulling the fat out. So if you continue eating at KFC and McDonald's and Taco Ding Ding, then eventually, Taco Bell, thank you. Eventually, you may have your arteries clog up. And if your arteries clog up, then you may have to go to the surgeon. And the surgeon may tell you, you have to have a $200,000 surgery. You could tell him, no thank you, my kind surgeon friend, I'm going to eat plant-based. And I can guarantee you that if you will eat plant-based over a consistent length of time, probably about 3 months of time, if you go back to the surgeon and you get the tests for your cholesterol and all that, and you cut out all the cheese, all the meat, all the soda pop, and you only eat plants, lots of raw food, just plants, no cheese, no milk, nothing from animals, only a plant-based diet, go back to the surgeon and they'll test you and they'll be like, oh wow, things look good. So you can disagree with me, that's fine, but the proof's in the pudding. Watch, it's on YouTube, you can search forks over knives, and it's well documented. And we saw it too when we were at medical missionary school. We saw people coming in with heart disease or diabetes, and we saw them consistently being on a plant-based diet, learning to trust the Lord, learning to give up their sin and their bitterness and their anger. And we saw people getting off their heart medication. We saw people being transformed. Oh, and one more note here. So volunteers that come here expect to eat strong medicine.
And lots of oatmeal.
Yep. And so we do try to use positive peer pressure. When I was working for Eli Yoder, one time I was eating all these greens, and one of the boys was like, ugh, you're just eating rabbit food. And I said, well, that I can hop. It helps me be able to move. I can move like a rabbit. And he's like, And I'm not going to eat that. And so I said, well, you may not eat this, but I know your sisters are brave enough to eat it. And I had little sisters, so the little sister started to eat clover and dandelion greens and things. And so I said, yeah, I know that the girls are brave enough to eat it, but I don't know that you boys are actually brave enough to eat it. And sure enough, Danny and Moses, Momo, they started to eat it too. So, yep. Just use some positive peer pressure if you get a chance.
I'd like to pray.
Yes. Thank you. Father, thank you for the food that you've provided. Thank you for making so many weeds to grow in the field and in the yard that are near and close at hand. Thank you that we don't need to spend hundreds of dollars on supplements in pill form when we have so many herbs available to us. We thank you and we ask that you would bless this in Jesus' name. We ask in Yeshua's name. Amen.